Here, in a rural area in southern Indiana, residing in the greater Clark County District, there is a town called Charlestown, and located there on Highway 62 is the Army ammunition plant.
Roughly the size of 12,000 acres, construction of the INAAP began in 1941 and was later completed on May 31st in 1942. The factories were originally built and operated by E.I. DuPont de Nemours & Co., producing tons of propellants and explosives during the World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. This plant produced more black powder in World War II alone than any other smokeless power plant did during World War I in the U.S. The ammunition plant is located on the outskirts of Charlestown. The plant was composed of 3 factories, all with different jobs. Indiana Ordnance Works Plant 1 made smokeless powder. Indiana Ordnance Works Plant 2 made rocket propellant. Hoosier Ordnance Plant HOP manufactured and located propellant charge bags.
My name's Mike Stewart, and I'm being interviewed for information about the Indiana Army ammunition plant that was opened during World War II and also the Vietnam War.
Okay, so the first question, what was the plant like while it was up and running?
The plant covered hundreds and hundreds of acres, hundreds of buildings. Most of the buildings were load lines where they loaded charges and made shells, and also bag lines where they made bags to put the charges into. And they had one really large building that had nothing but sewing machines in it, like hundreds and hundreds of sewing machines where they did nothing but make bags.
Interesting.
What years did you work there?
I worked there in 1969, right after I got out of the Air Force.
What was the plant like inside?
Like I say, it was pretty well spread out, and you were only allowed to go to certain areas. You know, like I could only go to a load line because that's where I worked, and I couldn't go to sewing machine lines or anything like that, so I was restricted pretty much.
So what did people say about the ammunition plant?
Well, most people were really grateful to have a job, and it paid pretty good in 1969, so, you know, but they were really for it.
What impact do you think the plant had in Charlestown?
Well, it had a tremendous impact. People came from all around to work there, and if they didn't live here, they rented little trailers where they lived in people's backyards. They put up tents, lived in people's yards. My house on Water Street, they rented out rooms upstairs to people, and so, you know, it was a pretty big operation.
And what problems did it cause?
The only problems that I know of that it caused was, like I say, problems years later with the project where the homes were built up there for people to live in. They were only supposed to be temporary, and they were supposed to be torn down like 2 or 3 years after the war ended, and they're still using them now, and they're pretty well run down. So kind of puts a blight on the neighborhood and blight on the city.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you answering the questions about the ammunition plant.
You're welcome.
Facilities were later placed in modified caretaker status in 1992. This basically means that it was closed and no longer operates, but is under guard so no one can trespass due to dangers lingering in the plant. Some of the dangers of the plant include weak building structures due to the wood and metal decay. unattended explosives resting on the site, and air pollution due to the black powder. If someone were to go exploring around the facility unattended, it is possible that one of the buildings would collapse on them due to the buildings being so unstable after a long period of time. This could result in the loss of a life. After the plant shut down, the people responsible for cleaning the black powder unfortunately fell short of completing this task. Back in 2018, a man working on the site trying to get rid of the asbestos on the pipes came in contact with residue of black powder, and the pipe exploded, resulting in sharple getting embedded into his stomach. Luckily, the man is alive, but he was hospitalized after the incident. If the black powder were to go airborne, it would create major pollution. This was also an instance of a fire at the ammunition plant. No one knows exactly how it started, but if anyone had been present, someone could have gotten seriously injured. Walking around the buildings, we see the rusting metal and smell the rotting wood. Looking at all these decaying buildings, it's hard to believe that this place was once a fully operating factory. In recent years, the mayor of Charlestown, Bob Hall, has deemed the location unsafe. The plant divides the town. Some citizens believe it should be torn down because it's an eyesore and dangerous, while others believe it is part of the town's history and should remain untouched, or a museum should be made in its honor. However, despite the dangers, some people believe that the plant is a historical site and deserves to remain mostly as is. This is an interview with Sebastian Denkoff, age 26, on the subject.
What are your thoughts on the city tearing the ammunition plant down?
I think it should be torn down.
Can you elaborate?
Well, I mean, the people that come in here, all they're going to see is a broken down building. What's going to make more people want to move into here? Then on top of that, it's on the #1 list of getting shot by terrorist attacks. There's a chance of it blowing up, considering that we don't know if there's a bomb on there or not. And I think that should go too.
And this is an interview with Christina Williams, age 30, on the same issue.
Have you and your family been living in Charlestown?
My grandparents moved here back when the Pleasant Ridge neighborhood was first built for the World War II.
What do you think about the City Hall tearing the ammunition plant down?
I don't think they should. It's a historical mark. Everyone grew up around it, and if you go down deep enough, it could possibly blow the town up.
So you're completely against it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What you are about to see is a video of the mayor, Bob Hall, giving his point of view on the Army ammunition plant. And after he talks, you can see that the demolition of the plant begins.
This day is important to the city of Charlestown, and it's a historic step in the cleaning up of this facility and getting it ready. This is another step in the closure of the chapter in Charlestown's history of the Army ammunition plant. This plant has brought Charlestown both prosperity and poverty.
One thing it seems everyone can agree on is that the facility is dangerous and something needs to be done about it, whether they tear it down completely or making a memorial building on a section of the site and renovating the rest.